Good morning, my name is Nabila Qistina Rody, and I am here today to talk to you about the implementation of key performance indicators in the Malaysian public sector. Did you know the relevance between the key performance indicators and the new public management? New public management is basically management technique and practices drawn mainly from the private sector. In the middle 1980s, the Malaysian government accepted the philosophy of new public management (NPM) in the public sector, which was originally a private sector practice with the aim of increasing the efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability of public organizations in our country. The private sector practices that use NPM management should be used as a benchmark for government to enhance the performance of the public sector through the KPI system. The key performance indicators refer to a measurement system that is simple and effective, which help the organization to explain and control the long-term performance of the entire organization. Generally, KPIs measure the success of an organization based on operational performance across the organization. Thus, in order to identify whether the KPI is working and benefiting the organization or not, they should be measured continuously and have a link with the areas which they should have be implemented. The KPI basically is an adjustment that reflects the performance of a public organization. It is measured based on the public sector ability to create value, public official readiness, process efficiency, and the overall ability to deliver services to the public. With the implementation of these KPI that are set with more detailed report, public officials can determine the performance status or overall state of the firm and can identify specific areas to be given more attention. Therefore, it shows that KPI is indicate corrective and repair measures to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the public sector in delivering services to the public. KPIs, a blunt instrument, is better than none. It is one of the headlines of online news article. Although this system is said to be blunt, it is better than nothing at all. The Malaysian government plays an important role in sharpening this blunt instrument by measuring the right key indicators to achieve better performance. In order to get the desired result, hard work from the government and also public officials is crucial in formulating and implementing plans to achieve the set KPIs. The effort of the public servant should be appreciated so that they continuously provide the best commitment in performing the duty. Thus, there is no doubt that this is an opportunity for Malaysia to improve this blunt instrument to be sharper and work well in improving the country's performance.
Hi, I'm Norazlin. Binti. A.Asdin will continue our presentation towards the literature review of the implementation of key performance indicator in the Malaysian public sector. So my point is, what is key performance indicator response? We already know that KPIs can provide many advantages to the organization, especially because they can provide a clear picture of work performance and employee productivity. However, it can also lead to many problems if not formulated realistically. Unrealistic KPI can create stress for employees, and if this issue persists and is not addressed properly at an early stage, then it can lead to more serious problems such as sleep disorders, depression, and even worse, it can lead to death. This is because if an organization has set KPIs that are too high and exceed the capabilities of its employees, then its employee will feel pressure to achieve them. This statement can be proven through research done by A.Asdin bin Abdul Majid 2015, whereby he figured out that many researchers at the international level have conducted study and research on work pressure involving the public sector in the context of government employees, whereas Lewick and Dollar 2001 found that the pressure experienced by employees in the public sector is greater than private sector workers. Therefore, from here we can see that the burden borne by civil servant is greater than private servant. We can point the finger completely and blame the KPI that was made as the main cause of this public servant stress. But we can state that the high and unrealistic KPI is one of the factors that will contribute to the stress level of this public servant. This is because how they can get the best performance if the KPI that is made is not realistic for them. This can indeed cause stress to the employees because the KPI urge them to give the best performance in addition to all shortcomings that exist. This matter, if not taken care of, can affect the productivity and reputation of the organization in the long term if it still happens, considering that every civil servant has their own area of responsibility. And if they do not complete their duties well, then the KPI of the department will also not be achieved. If the KPI is not achieved, then the people's view and trust in the organization will begin to waver because they think that civil servants are not doing the job well and are just wasting people's money.
Hello, my name is Fazila and I will explain on the roles of government in implementing key performance indicators in Malaysia. One of the functions of the public sector is to provide public services as part of the government's public duty to create community welfare. Public services is the main pillar for the government, therefore, the government has established guidelines for using key performance indicator KPI to improve the quality of service delivery. The Prebared national government has been criticized by more Member of Parliament Syed Saddiq Abdul Rahman for not announcing any key performance index for its ministers in carrying out their duties to combat COVID-19 in our country. He stated that it is more important for the PN government to announce KPIs for each minister who is responsible for COVID-19 because the PN government is moving without putting any form of KPIs for people to evaluate and monitor. The PN government only announced and gave a report about the warning about the fourth wave of COVID-19 in the country but did not announce the KPI or performance that the government needs to achieve. Only the KPI about the vaccination target of up to 80% of the total population of Malaysia has ever been announced. The ninth Prime Minister of Malaysia, Ismail Sabri Yaakob, has triggered several questions and criticisms about the KPI that is implemented is 80% in the first 100 days of his reign. The presidents of the Malaysian Consumer Associations and Marimutu described an assessment of the performance of the government led by Ismail Sabri Yaakob as absurd because the people should keep the suspense and the people's views on the government's performance should be taken into account. The ninth Prime Minister of Malaysia has never publicized details or reports about the KPIs that have been achieved, and the overall performance of the economy during the government led by Ismail Sabri Yaakob did not show the best improvement, and also is said to have not yet achieved its target of providing 500,000 jobs in 2021, which was said last year. There is still a persistent labor shortage and the issue of high flood prices still exists. This have shown leadership and administrations led by ninth Prime Minister to be unconvincing. Meanwhile, the 10th Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, was urged to give all ministers and deputy ministers clear key performance indicators to be achieved throughout their service in government. Those who fail to meet the set standards needs to be replaced, and this step allows all ministers and their deputies to strive to provide quality services while their achievements are reported to the people transparently. The Prime Minister, as the captain of the ship, needs to clearly state the vision, mission, and directions of the government under his leadership for the short, medium term, and necessarily 5 years from now. This direction should be understood by all parties, especially the cabinet of ministers. From there, only then can each ministry respond and translate it into an agenda or their respective KPI.
Literature review from the public sector performance based on the study of Niven 2002. Many studies have been conducted to measure the performance of the public sector, but it's less comprehensive. This can be understood that although many studies have been carried out on measuring the performance of the public sector, but less practice in the operation of the public sector. Having KPI as the performance measurement will get the public sector employee to change their behavior. For instance, the public sector KPI are measured from the level of satisfaction of their customer towards the service of the public sector. This will encourage the employee to change their behavior to strive for efficiency and effectiveness when working. Based on the study of Joshi 2002, stated that the organization of public sector are only focused on the results and lacks towards how the employee feels while performing the task. This will cause the employee to change their behavior and becoming more demotivated while working, and will cause the employee to face unfamiliar phase of working. Based on the study of Scalar 2009, stated that the principle to guide an organization are belief, codes, and moral. These elements shows the integrity in an organization and capable in achieving the KPI in public sector. Therefore, public sector employee must more be transparent and more accountable in dealing with their customer. Based on the study of Scalar 2009 also, the consistency, predictability, integrity, and behavior will create the harmonious working environment. This can be understood as working with integrity and accountable with others will achieve the KPI of the public sector because communication among the employee can be done easily and teamwork can be done easily.
We have seen the literature review. Now let's take a look at the findings and discussion of the topic. As we know, the purpose of performance measurement is to measure the extent to which the work processes implemented achieve the efficiency and effectiveness of the service delivery system and increase customer service satisfaction. Therefore, before making performance indicator, the party responsible for making aspect of evaluation must first examine the ability of employees under the organization to see whether they are capable to achieve and whether their performance indicator are realistic or not. This is because if the performance indicator met are too high, then it will be difficult for employees to achieve, which will cause the existence of pressure or stress and indirectly cause the organization goal to be unachievable. Therefore, the KPI credit should not be too high or too low. It needs to be in line with the ability of the employees under the organization and also need to take into account the surrounding factors that the country is currently facing. This is because a suitable and appropriate KPI system is very necessary to get the best result. Moreover, an organization, especially in the public sector, needs to set key achievement indicators that are not too low because the people always want the best service from them, and the people also always want improvement to the existing services. Therefore, the performance indicator created should be realistically achievable and match the function of each specific position and organization. That's all from me. I'll pass on to the next presenter. Thank you.
Setting key performance indicators (KPI) for each cabinet minister of the unity government is viewed as having a good impact on national development initiative. KPI will demonstrate the government's commitment to economic growth. KPIs must be shared so each ministry understands its role in accomplishing the nation's goal. KPIs demonstrate public sector accountability and allow voters to evaluate their government's performance. The 9 prime ministers failure to explicitly state the KPIs per questions about government accountability. By setting or expressing KPIs, each minister is able to delegate responsibility and establish accountability within the team or organizations. Since the public receive government services, unambiguous KPIs allow them to evaluate the government, and if the service does not meet the KPI, corrective action might be done. For example, by firing or sending the public servants to be trained. If the government fails to meet the KPI, the people can potentially vote for a new government in the next elections. Thus, the KPI must be well defined so that everyone can play their responsibilities and be more accountable with their job.
For the findings and discussion from the literature review. From the findings, we can see that the public sector organizations are only concerned on the performance of their implementation, but less on their employee behavior. The performance of employee will affect the KPI of the public sector. The change of behavior required a long period of time depending on the employees trained and motivated. The solutions of these findings can be applied to the public sector to achieve the KPI by making seminar program and coaching lessons that involve the performance into achieving the KPI of the public sector organization. Besides that also, from the findings, we can also see that in order to achieve the KPI expected level, the public sector must be transparent and accountable in dealing with their works. The behavior and integrity and accountability must always apply not only to the customer but also for their working employees. This behavior will create the harmonious working environment and will also create a good working teams to achieve their goals and objectives for the organization. The discussion of this problem is that public sector management must involve themselves in integrity campaign program. For example, including on a Suruhan Jaya Anti Rasuah SPRM to maintain the integrity in their organization and to gain the trust from their customer and working colleagues.
To sum up, the use of KPI is a practice that should be incorporated into a performance-based work culture. Through the application of KPI, action to continuously improve the public sector performance must be able to meet the needs of the public. KPI certainly is encouraged and necessary in every public organization as it expands the direction of the organization in addition to achieving the organization mission and vision. A good performance measurement system indirectly provides a clear picture of the measurement of a goal based on strategic planning. KPI can even be used as a measuring evaluation tool where it can evaluate the performance that has been targeted. Through KPI, strengthening the performance of a public organization can be done by comparing past achievement with current performance while targeting future performance. That's all for today's slide presentation. Thank you.